Hello, thank you so much for joining me again today. We're going to do another session on Pilates fundamentals and put some of our new ideas into practice. So to start with, we're going to work on our alignment. So bring your feet into a neutral position. That would be where the heels of your feet are underneath the hip sockets. So not the outside of your hips, but the hip sockets. And then have a look down at your feet and see if they are facing forward. And align them so they are facing forward. Now that might feel a little bit weird with your knees because you might be used to standing like this, and bringing them here might make them feel a bit odd. And when you bend your knees, the knees might be going inwards. So what I want you to do is bring your attention down to your ankles and to the strength of your ankles. So instead of your ankles potentially rolling inwards, which is really common with a lot of us where our arches have slipped, I want you to imagine the lift of the arches. So imagine you've got two fish hooks drawing the middle of your arches upwards. So you're now on a central tripod where your weight is evenly distributed between the outside of your foot, the ball of your foot and your heel. And then hopefully that means when you bend your knees, the knees will go directly forward instead of when the ankles are rolling in and they do this. Okay, so have an experiment with that. And wiggle your toes. And there's just a small change in awareness there as well. So it's always worth setting yourself up properly from the bottom upwards. And then we're going into the knees. Notice I've been doing lots of this. So instead of locking the knees backwards, try and bring a softness to the knees so they're not locked backwards. And that definitely shifts your centre of gravity. So it's just changing habits that you might have picked up over the years. And then we're going to open up the bottom of the vertebra. So I'd like you to tilt the pubic bone towards your nose and imagine lengthening. So lengthening the lower part of your spine, lifting up your tummy, and then moving in the opposite direction. So tilting pubic bone to nose, tailbone down towards the back of your feet, and pubic bone down towards toes. So if I put my hands here, you might be able to see it a little bit better. And while you're doing this, just double check that you're still breathing and your shoulders are relaxed and your knees are soft and your feet are facing forward. And then bring your pelvis to somewhere in the middle and circle the shoulders, coming forward, up, back and down. That's it, nice and gentle. That's it. So just getting used to mobilising the body, ready to move. And then relax the shoulders away from your ears and look up to the sky on one side and breathe in. And exhale, semicircle your chin down towards your chest and up to the other side. Then breathe in at the top and exhale. So while you're here, you're keeping your shoulders still. And you try not to let your head hang backwards, so you're going for a lengthened neck at the top as opposed to compressing the back of your neck. So breathing in at the top and exhale. Breathing in at the top and exhale. And then when you're ready, bring your head back to a neutral position. So with our neutral, I want you to imagine your neck just needs to realign back to the centre post. So quite often we're like this, and I want you to draw the chin back and lengthen the back so it's nice and long and your chin isn't dipping downwards. The chin is parallel with the floor. It's not looking upwards either. It's nice and long. And with the shoulders, imagine the scapula drawing down into your back pockets, but not pressing down into them. You're just guiding them downwards. So your chest is open, but you haven't suddenly gone like this. So you're still nice and tall. There's still a plumb line between your shoulder, your hip, and your ankle here. So you're nice and open. And it just helps us move with less chance of getting injured if your chest is open and you're not rounded like this. And then the pelvis. So we've done the tilts this way and the tilt this way. So find your point that is somewhere in the middle And then it means when you're in full alignment, your muscles are at their most effective. Okay, so moving into the pelvic floor muscles, you can do this sitting down if you prefer, if standing up for long periods of time is uncomfortable for you, or if you want to do it standing up, please feel free. So we're going to do an activation of the pelvic floor muscles, imagining they're a lift. Okay, and by activating pelvic floor muscles, you'll also be activating your tummy muscles as well. So I'd like you to breathe in first of all. So take a deep breath in. And by breathing in, you'll be letting all the muscles relax. So the muscles here will go outwards, the muscles here will be going downwards. Also the diaphragm will be sinking downwards too. So everything kind of goes down and out as you breathe in. And then as you breathe out, everything will lift. So your diaphragm will naturally lift, which will naturally lift the pelvic floor muscles without even needing to think about it. And then they'll also draw back in towards your tummy. So you're breathing out and breathing in and breathing out. So the breath naturally activates. And generally people with MCAS can be quite hypermobile too, which might mean that you're prone to bracing. So all of these moves, I want you to keep really gently as you're breathing in and then breathing out. And then actually feel like as you're breathing out, the pelvic floor muscles lift and the belly comes back towards your spine, just a touch, just like 20%, maximum 20-30%. Breathing in and breathing out. And what we want to do is make it subconscious goal. So it's subconscious, you've got full control over what happens around here. You're able to release and you're able to contract. That's it. And then if we go towards the transverse abdominis muscles, so this big corset belt of muscles here in the centre, what you've already naturally been doing by drawing the belly button back towards your spine just a touch is activating these muscles, so they'll be coming in and holding on, okay? So if you breathe in, you'll be relaxing it. And as you're breathing out, you'll be gently contracting it. That's it. So gently breathing in, letting it release, breathing out, draw the belly button back, just a touch. And again, final one. And exhale. That's it. And then we've been standing for a long time, so if you need to have a little wiggle, that's it. Unclick those knees. That's it, or sit down, feel free. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is lateral thoracic breathing. So we've already looked at our alignment, where our heels are underneath our hips, our knees are soft, our pelvis is somewhere in the middle, our shoulders are back and down, and our neck is long. And now we're going to breathe. So we're going to breathe into our side, so lateral thoracic breathing. So I want you to imagine that as you breathe in, the rib cage expands here and outwards here, but not up here. Okay, so we're not going to breathe up here, which can make us feel really anxious and enhance your pain. We're going to expand the rib cage. So when you're breathing, make sure your shoulders stay where they are as you're breathing deeply into the rib cage, imagining it's expanding outwards. And then exhaling, imagining it's contracting. So you might like to imagine this as bellows. So you're breathing in and the rib cage are bellows filling up with air. And then out. And you can keep your shoulder girdle gently engaged here as you're breathing in. And it stops the shoulders lifting. That's it. And another one, deeply breathing in. And exhale. Good. Okay. Just remember, if you ever get woozy when you're doing that breathing, do take a seat and breathe normally instead. So we're going to go to roll downs now, and we're going to do it against a wall. So find a clear wall to do this against. And I'd like you to step your feet away, so about a foot away from the wall, and then bring the back of your pelvis, your shoulders, and your head touching the wall. Now we've all got very, very different anatomy, so if this is uncomfortable, please feel free to readjust. You may find that you can't push your head back against the wall. Okay, so we're going to be here, making sure, as before, your feet are hip width apart, your knees are soft. You could lift your belly button up or back a little bit here and take a breath in. And exhale, peel your head away from the wall first, keeping some space for a peach here so you're not hyperextending. Allow the shoulders to roll forward and down next. And then you're gently moving away from the wall, imagining each vertebra is unstacking. And you might get to about here and take a breath. And then exhale and push yourself back, one vertebra at a time, back against the wall. And depending on how your spine is shaped, you may or may not feel like you can get the middle of your back pressed against the wall as you're rolling down. So going to be here. And exhale, peel gently away. And here you might want to press your belly button into the wall to close the gap there, and then peel your way down. So this version here, where you're not going too far and your hands don't go below the knees, is a really safe version for those of you with osteoporosis and you need to look after your spines. Okay, if your spine is fine and able to move more into flexion, feel free to move even further away, where you then allow yourself to roll all the way to the floor. That's it. And then roll yourself back up. Now, if you have postural orthostatic tachycardia, you may notice you get really dizzy at the top and you might feel sick or your eyes might go black. So to prevent that from happening, as you roll down, so you're getting to the point where you might be at the bottom, take a breath in, exhale, squeeze the legs, squeeze the thighs, squeeze the tummy, squeeze the bum to come back up, and that generally keeps the blood where it needs to go. Now you're here and you're quite tight underneath, so then very gently and slowly let go of those muscles to bring yourself tall again. If you suddenly let the muscles relax, then the blood will drop straight away. So breathing in and exhale, gently peeling away from the wall, your head first, moving down, trying to unstack each vertebra, letting your head go, allowing your belly button to lift as well. At the point that's safe for you, take a breath in, exhale, peel your way back up, like Lego bricks, stacking one on top of each other. That's it. So coming up nice and tall. Let's do one more together. Breathing in. And exhale, peel your way away, your wallet away. Gently, keeping your knees soft to the point that feels good for you and is safe for you. Breathing in at the bottom. Exhale, peeling your way back up again. That's it. And then letting the muscles relax. Okay, so this is a great transition down to the floor. So you might want to roll all the way down to the floor, onto your mat or onto a bed, and I will see you down there in a minute. Okay, so now you're on the floor, the first thing we're going to do is a tabletop position or a 4-point kneeling position. I will show you some adaptations if being on hands and knees doesn't feel good for your wrists or your knees. But if you're happy to move into this position, feel free to do this with me. If you don't want to do this position, roll over onto your backs with your knees bent. So we're going to bring ourselves into a tabletop or 4-point kneeling, and in this position you're aligning the heels of your hands underneath your shoulders and your knees underneath your hips. So try not to have them out of alignment like this. Try and have them nicely loaded, and try not to be hinging forward here or hinging back. The knees need to be underneath those hips. If your wrists feel really uncomfortable here, you could either roll down or roll back the mat. So I've done this one for years, rolling the back the mat like this. or even introducing a bit of extra padding underneath the knees and the edge. And it just offloads the weight a little bit. Blocks are also really great. You could put your hand on the edge of a block like this, and then the angle for your wrist isn't quite so like this, it's a bit softer. So that's another option there for if you're uncomfortable with your wrists. The other option is cushions underneath knees, but what we tend to do, instead of putting the cushion directly underneath the knee, is put it underneath the shin towards the knee, and then it offloads the weight off the knee. It takes the weight off the knee, like that. But try and have a cushion under both knees, or a nice pillow under both knees, so you're even. So now you've set yourself up in this 4-point kneeling. You might be here, or if you're not in 4-point kneeling, you can do this upside down and do exactly what we're doing, like this, okay? So the first thing we're going to do is a gentle push-up, where we're going to gently allow the elbows to soften and bend, and then return. So this is the version upside down, or if you're in 4-point kneeling. That's it, just gently, you don't need to go far. And there are different options of this. You could either move the elbows outwards or in towards your knees. So it depends on which muscles you want to work. If you want to work your chest muscles, you could go outwards to a diagonal. If you want to work your trapezius muscles, the muscles in the back of your arms, you could come down here, okay? Try not to hinge as you're doing it. Try and keep everything level as you're coming down and returning. That's it. And if you're not used to doing 4-point kneeling, at this point your wrists might be getting a bit sore, or your knees. I just want to make a point about elbows. So people who are hypermobile, and there might be quite a few of us with MCAS who are hypermobile, it's really tempting to do this with your elbows. So can you see my arms are slightly bent backwards, my elbows are facing a funny way. So I want you to draw the elbows, imagine they're lightsabers, okay? So you've got lightsabers, and they're not facing in towards each other because that creates a rounded shoulder effect. Imagine the saber, the light, crosses in the middle just underneath you. Okay, and the elbows are soft, they're not locked, they're nice and soft as you're here. Okay, right, so give your wrists a break. So you might want to do this, okay, just look after them. And we're now going to go on to our backs. And remember, when we're setting ourselves up on the mat or on the bed with our backs, we tend to have a cushion underneath our head if we need it to keep our heads in alignment. We want our chin and our forehead to be the same height. So your head is parallel with the floor. So some people need it, some people don't. I'm using my hair clip for this one, which is just right. So we're here, and we're going to move into an upside down box. So similar to what we did before. So we're going to put the hands on the floor, make sure the shoulders are away from your ears, and take a breath in, and exhale and bring one knee into tabletop. That's it. And then breathe in here, and exhale, lower it down. So tabletop position here is where your knee is in a 90-degree bend. The leg goes directly up towards the ceiling, and this bit here is parallel with the ceiling, okay? So you're not here or here, it's parallel with the ceiling. And breathe out as you lower back down. So the breath is gently helping us activate the right muscles to find stability. If you need a little bit more, you might want to pull your belly button back towards your spine, just a touch, and that'll help you stabilise the pelvis against the mat and stop your back from arching. Okay, so you could, if you're feeling confident enough, you could bring one knee up and then bring the other knee up, and notice we did it one at a time. We don't bring them both up at the same time. Taking a breath there. And exhale, lower. Breathing in. Exhale and lower. So practice that a few times where you're breathing in to prepare. Exhale to move. Breathing in to prepare. Exhale to move. Breathing in. Exhale to move. Breathing in, exhale to move. So you might want to pause this and get into the rhythm of doing that a few times. And then we're going to try a hip dip, where we're just going to work with one leg and we're going to keep it in tabletop. So breathing in, breathe out to move, and we're going to keep that 90-degree bend. So we're now going to breathe out as we lower the foot to the floor, without the knee bending, so it's hinging at the hip, not at the knee. So you're not kind of reaching to the floor like that or reaching down like that. You're keeping that knee bend as you reach and then return. And there's various ways of breathing here. You could breathe in to prepare, breathe out to move, breathe in to prepare, breathe out to move, or you could breathe in to reach, breathe out to return. Whatever you're doing, you're working towards stabilizing at the spine and the pelvis, so everything stays still here. And then we're going to swap sides. So breathing in to prepare. Exhale to move. Breathing in. Exhale to move. That's it. So you're imagining your knee is fixed. So the knee can't bend, but the hip can hinge. Okay, and then let the legs rest. Here you might want to sway the knees gently side to side, remembering your range of movement, so you don't want to go too far with these ones. And then bring the knees back to the centre. Okay, now we're going to do a leg extension, so we're going to actually send it to a diagonal. So I want you to imagine the knee can't lift above the other knee. So as you breathe out, the leg extends and stays parallel with the other knee. And return. Breathing out to move. Breathing out to move. Just double check your shoulders are relaxed as you're doing this. And your pelvis will really want to dip side to side as you're doing these. So see if you can activate the tummy by drawing the belly button back just a touch to keep this nice and still. And if you want to work a bit harder, you could do this one from a double tabletop. So remember to bring the knees up one at a time and send one leg away. Now you are working very hard here. So remember, you can always keep one foot on the floor and send the leg away if you want to be a bit gentler. Just if you're doing that one, make sure you swap so you've got time to do the other side as well. And remember, you can pause this video at any time you want to, if you need to take a break, have a cup of tea, or if you want to do a little bit more. Okay, and then return. Another move that I really love is the shoulder bridge. So for this one, you do need to have your head quite low. So if you've got a really big pillow or cushion underneath your head, do move it out of the way so your head is lower. Otherwise, if your cushion is up here As you peel the spine up this way, you'll be compressing your neck. So you're here, your feet are hip width apart. So remember, hip width apart is where you bring your feet together, you turn them outwards, and then the heel joins. And that generally finds hip width apart. And we're going to take a breath here, putting the hands on the floor, and exhale. Tilt pubic bone to nose first of all and press the middle of your back into the mat. And then breathe in again. Exhale to peel up. So you may or may not get tight. You may be squeezing the bottom and not coming up at all, or you may be coming up a little bit or a little bit more, but I don't want your hips to be too high. So you want more of a straight line as opposed to an upside down curve, okay? So pubic bone is lifted higher than your tummy muscles are lifted a little bit, your shoulders away from your ears. To stop yourself rolling up the mat here, imagine drawing the heels back towards your buttocks, and it helps you activate the bum a bit more. So you're breathing in at the top. Exhale, peel your way down, imagining one vertebra at a time, moving back down towards the floor. Okay, so let's try it again. Breathing in at the bottom. Exhale to tilt pubic bone to nose. Breathing in. Exhale to peel your way up towards the sky, taking a breath at the top, drawing the heels back towards your buttocks. You can press the hands into the mat as well. Exhale to peel your way gently back down again. You can use balls between your knees. If your knees feel really uncomfortable in the peeling up position, feel free to use a ball, because what happens is you're activating then your inner thighs, which takes the load off your knee joints. So breathing in, exhale to tilt, breathing in, exhale to peel, drawing heels towards your buttocks, breathing in again, exhale to peel your way down. So do a few of those in your own time. Feeling your spine all gorgeous and snaky. And you're not squeezing the ball too much between your knees if you have got a ball there, just a touch. Okay, final one. Enjoy this last one. There we go. And then here, you might feel you would benefit from stretching out your legs a little bit. So I quite enjoy half a panicky turtle. That's it. Or you might want to send your heels up towards the sky and do a gentle rocking here. So we're going to move back into our tabletop or 4-point kneeling position. If that doesn't work for you, you're going to move into the gentle pelvic tilts here. So very gentle with your breath, tilting your pelvis. Okay, otherwise we're going to move into 4-point kneeling and do a gentle cat and cow. So double check that you're setting yourself up nicely first with the heels of your hands underneath your shoulders, your elbows are soft, your knees are underneath your hips. And we're going to move into flexion first of all, where we bring the pubic bone towards the nose, arch into the cat, so imagine it's like an angry cat, and then move into the cow, where the tailbone lifts, the back of your head lifts, your tummy drops slightly. So imagine this like a really heavy uddered cow. And then move between the two, very gently and slowly, taking breaths between each one. And see if you can find your neutral point in between as you move between the two extremes. See if you can actually identify it. That's it. going to push ourselves into a prayer stretch. So traditional prayer stretch is where we would push ourselves directly back into this position. If you need to make room for your tummies, I recommend opening the knees and pushing yourself back between the knees. And your shoulders may or may not like this position, in which case you could put one hand on top of the other and rest, because this is very much a rest position. So you do need to find a way to make it more comfortable. So that's the option. If your knees don't like being in that position, you can do exactly the same, but upside down, still making room for your tummy between your legs. So opening the legs a bit wider and hugging them like this, or like this, and breathing. And then when you are ready, very, very gently push yourself up or roll yourself into a seated position. That's it. And then, as we always end the class, we're going to reach the hands up, breathing in, and exhale. Press those hands down past your chest in celebration of doing this whole recording together. Well done, everybody. So we've been gently activating the core muscles, reminding ourselves of the fundamentals of Pilates, in particular with our alignment and breath and core activation today. Well done. See you soon.